We all go out and protest for the LGBT community. There are many ways you can protest. Either you can go out to a demonstration, or you can speak out loud your liberal opinion, or even comment on an LGBT creator video so his voice will be heard. We will not be afraid anymore. No, those times have passed. We will not be silent. We are here to fight for our rights. Are you with me? I hope so.
What is the most gay-friendly country in the world? First we have Israel, which has a gay score of 74%.
Magnus Hirschfeld was one of the founding fathers of modern sexology and was one of the founding fathers of the modern gay and lesbian movement.
He founded the first gay organization in the world in 1897 in Berlin. He himself was a homosexual.
Magnus Hirschfeld was born to a large Jewish family on May 14, 1868. Hirschfeld moved to Charlottenburg in Berlin. It was there that he founded the Scientific Humanitarian Committee, or SHC, probably the first organization campaigning for LGBT rights. In 1919, in the new Weimar Republic, Hirschfeld founded the Institute for Sexual Science in a mansion on the banks of the Spree River in Berlin. The scope of the institute was much larger than that of the Scientific Humanitarian Committee.
Berlin in the 1920s was the sex capital of Europe.
It looked like a normal downtown area of Central Europe until 5 o'clock. And then everything would begin to change utterly. Places that you hadn't noticed would turn into outrageous strip clubs. The basements of the restaurants would be homosexual or lesbian romper rooms and sex clubs.
1923 marked the founding of a third gay rights organization in Berlin, the Human Rights League. The last project Hirschfeld ever founded was the World League for Sexual Reform in 1926. It held prominent conventions in Copenhagen, London, Vienna, and Brno, Czechoslovakia in the following years. He put forward the idea of sexual intermediacy, proposing that all human characteristics, physical and psychological, occur on a spectrum between masculine and feminine. His exile was sealed on May 6, 1933, when Nazi students plundered the Institute for Sexual Science. Several days later, they burned many of its books and records at the Opernplatz. With Hitler's rise to power came a crackdown on Germany's LGBT community. The culture that had emerged in the late 19th century and flourished in the liberal atmosphere of Weimar Germany was crushed in a few...
So I am a transgender and non-binary rabbi, and I was the first ordained by mainstream movement rabbi. There is a text from the Mishnah, which is the very earliest layer of what becomes Jewish law from like the 1st or 2nd century. So it's like a 2,000-year-old text. And they're talking about the tumtum, which is one of the genders beyond male or female in Jewish classical texts. So not everyone realizes, but there are actually 6 genders in Judaism. So not everyone realizes, but there are actually 6 genders in Judaism.
By Daniel Bogart of the Central Reform Congregation in St. Louis. He's a parent of a 9-year-old transgender boy. Also with us, Debbie Jackson, a member of the Human Rights Campaign's Parents for Transgender Equality Council. She's the parent of Avery, a 15-year-old non-binary child. Welcome to both of you. Thank you for being with us. Rabbi, I just want to read another of your tweets in which you said, because this is interesting, it follows on the conversation I just had with Jasmine Crockett. You said, I really believe that most of the Republican electeds genuinely don't like these bills targeting trans kids. They've just realized that torturing my kid and my family is winning politics for them. The base loves it, and the press covers the story as the debate over trans kids. So first of all, for the benefit of the press, the benefit of us in the media, tell me what's wrong with the way we're covering this.
You know, look, what's happening is the Republican Party is waging a war on trans kids. It really feels like they are waging here in Missouri a war on my family. And then so often what happens in the press is this is treated like a question. Let's talk about this whole trans thing that's going on. without centering the harm and the pain that is being caused to kids, right? Just kids who are trying to be themselves, who are trying to live their lives, and families who are trying to follow the best advice of their doctors. So when the press centers the debate rather than centering the harm, it continues this cynical policy of the Republicans who are counting on it. They're counting on the fact that they can rile up their base with anti-trans rhetoric and get questions from the other side.
In the halacha, in Yoredeya, that's the second section of the 4 sections of halacha called the Shulchan Aruch, the set table. In chapter 266, halacha 3, 4, 5, and 6, he describes how the circumcision is to be done. He says after the cutting, the mohel does what is called mitzitza. Mitzitza means to suck, and it means doing so with his mouth.
The practice is called masitza b'peh, where a mohel uses his mouth to suck blood away from the baby boy's genitals after circumcision.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו וציוונו על המילה. אמן. Amen.